It's Sewing with Lisa, and today we're going to make a pleated face mask. Here's an example. Has a wire to secure to your nose. Comes clear down around the chin. This mask is intended to be used only as a barrier, and it's not intended to be used like for sole medical use or medical PPE, but it's a barrier of some kind. It's not used for infants or children under the age of 3. And if you think about doing that, then check with your physician before you put one on the kids. So what you'll need to start is 2 9-inch pieces of fabric, and make that all cotton. I like to use quilting fabric or all cotton fabric. 2 7-inch pieces of elastic, and I use the quarter. This is the 1/8 inch. I like to use it better than I do the 1/4 inch. It's easier on the ears. You'll need a 4-inch pipe cleaner or Chanel stick, and your sewing machine and a pair of scissors. So the first thing we're going to do is take your elastic and pin it in the corners. You can set it up like this, and we're just going to pin that corner to corner like this. Remember, I don't typically pin, but for the benefit of the class, I'm going to pin it. So we're going to pin those to the corners. This also will help you determine, you can see that those are going to pull out like that, so that's your ears. And that'll help you determine that we have a top and we have a bottom. Let me get that on there. And I'm pinning the elastic to the right side. Here we go. Now, right sides to right sides, we're going to match the corners here and put that right over top of the elastic. Again, let's pin that in place. Come down the edges. And it's going to kind of bunch up when you get to the corners. That's just what it does, because the elastic is only 7 inches long, whereas your fabric is 9. So match your corners like that and pin it. You can kind of stretch it out there a little bit. Make sure that the elastic is inside. See how that kind of slipped out? You want to make sure that that is inside. We're pinning that down, matching, pinning that. And then our last corner here. There we go. Now, this is a side. We've determined our top and our bottom. So let's start here. And what we're going to do is place this like this in our machine. This was a little trick I learned from a quilter. Put your foot feed down. And we're going to sew in and make 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So we're going to sew in about 3/8 of an inch seam with our needle down, turn it, and now we're going to sew down to the corner without sewing over top of your needles, and you're going to go right over top of that elastic and do some back stitching. Then when you see you're about 3/4 of an, or 3/8 of an inch in, you want to have your needle down, lift your foot feed, and turn. You can kind of feel that elastic. You don't want to sew over top of your elastic. So kind of take your finger and move it over. And we're just going to sew down to the side here. You might have to pull this out. Remember, it's 7 inches of elastic versus 9 inches of fabric. Again, remove your needles. Come down to the corner, backtrack your sewing, turn. Remember not to sew over top of your needles. Come down to your corners. Backtrack, and that backtracking is just to secure the elastic in there. This feels like we're sewing over top of that. Let's pull that up, readjust a little bit. down here to the edge. Pulling out all my pins there. We have a little pucker, so let's adjust this. There we go. I didn't like that at all. And we're going to sew over and leave a 2-inch opening. Turn, there's another pin. And you're going to sew off of the fabric. Now remember, turn your outside wheel only towards you and make sure this is to the top before you cut your thread. There we go. Now this is your bottom, that's your opening, and this is your top. Take your chenille stick and you want to put that about in the center. See how we're centering that? Change the setting on your machine to a wide zigzag and place that underneath there. Put your pressure foot down over top of the chenille stick and you're going to zigzag back and forth over top of that. On the outside of the seam, go clear down past it. Again, turn your wheel and make sure that the tension thing is up. Pull this out and cut your thread. Okay, now we're ready to turn. So you can see that. Corners coming up out of there. And don't worry about the chenille stick because it's wire, you know it turns. We're getting rid of some thread there. Those corners come out. There's that corner. And here comes that one. Again, there's some thread you can pick off. But here's the special part. You see how that, let's just trim that. Okay, that little trick that the quilter showed me. See how nice that looks now? And we're going to close that up when we do top stitching. See how nice and straight you have a line there. That was a nifty little thing she showed me. Okay, now let's just pull this out, kind of finger press it. And here's the top. Open those seams and see there's that wire. You can adjust it out like that. And always pull these to the top for the pleating, which to me it makes it easier. There we go. Now, what I want you to do is take your fingers and just pinch it about 1 inch from the top, like that, and fold it downwards, like that. And you can even use your cutting board. Put that across the top like that. And then this is down here to this mark. And this one's down here to this mark. And then I want you to pin that. Okay? And then put your fingers just underneath that fold and pinch again about 1/2 inch and fold down again. And you can measure it with your cutting board again and pin it. Pulling that out. There we go. And then for your last one, again, put your fingers right at the top there of that and do a little pinch and pull down. And you can bring this to the top of that line there, and you can see we're pretty good there just for eyeballing that. There and there. And let's pin it. We're almost done. There, you have that. This was our opening. You can see it. Just kind of finger press it like that. Okay, our next step is to bring it up and do some top stitching, and we're going to top stitch. I top stitch very close to the edge, like 1/16 in or so. You can see where I top stitch, and we're just going to top stitch around the circumference. Come to the corner, leave your needle down and turn. Remember, don't run over your needle. When you come up to the fold, I do a little back stitching so that it just gives it a little more strength there. Come up to the corner, and with your needle down, lift the presser foot and turn. Now when you're coming down the top edge towards the wire, you want to just go close to the edge. There's been a time or two where I've hit the wire, but see how it just slides right past that, right to the corner. Lifting my pressure foot and putting it back down, and then sewing right down the edge. Again, doing a little back stitching just to give a little more security and strength to the sides there. Turn, and this is where we're just going to sew right down through there, and it's going to close that opening for us. So past our starting point a little bit, and there we are. Pull it out, clip your thread, and that's it. Your mask is done. Check Pinterest on how to fold down the pleats a little bit. Also, look at the CDC for another pattern just like this, but it's very similar. It gives you a little different way to make it so that you can adjust the ear straps and that you can use a ribbon or a string straps to do that. Check us out on our website at www.knox.net, our Google page, Twitter, Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and check out and like us on Facebook. And that's it. Enjoy your summer and happy sewing!